All right, welcome to the Krug Show. After Monday Night Football, man, the Pats are for real. Man, there are two teams in the NFL right now between the Patriots and the Bears, teams that we didn't necessarily expect who are just rolling as we hit December. Are they for real? And of course, we're going to get into a lot on the 49ers. Dieter's in the house, a lot to get to. Let's go. Often rolling post Monday Night Football. Pats beat the Giants 33-15, and it wasn't that close.
Nope.
The score is deceiving. It was much more one-sided than that. Jackson Dart got absolutely torched on the sideline. Great clean hit by the New England defender, and just put him on his can. And then the Penn State rookie tight end said, "Hey, man, that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback." And he went and attacked him, and he got penalized. It was that kind of a night for the Giants, who have already fired Brian Daboll, have fired their defensive coordinator as well. And the search is on for the next head coach of the Giants. But we are here to talk about a lot of things. We can talk about that as well. But mostly the Niners we want to get into after the Niners roll to 9-4, winning in Cleveland, 26-8 49ers. And we'll get into this Pats-Giants game because I got some thoughts on that, and I'm sure you do too. But give me your takeaway first on the Niners. Let's just jump right into it. What did we learn from the 49ers? What did we gain from that game? And the NFL, Dieter, so much about like what's real and what's not real. It's like, well, we saw it, so it's real, but is it sustainable? And then that's, a lot of questions on the 49er front in all three phases of the game. What did you learn that you think is real about the Niners from this last game?
Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy operate the best version of the 49ers offense. It's not to take anything away from Mac Jones and what Kyle was calling, which I thought he was just on a heater when Mac was at the helm. But against that defense, and let's really be clear about this, we've watched the Houston Texans firsthand. We've watched the Rams twice now. The best defense the 49ers have played all year, and I thought this going into the game, I'm only more convicted on it coming out of that game, is the Cleveland Browns. It is a travesty that defense is being wasted on that team and that organization, because that's a 3-win team with that defense, which makes no sense, right? Like 20 years ago, that team would be winning divisions and competing for Super Bowls because that's a Super Bowl-worthy defense. And they were still playing hard despite the fact that they have nothing to play for. So Jim Schwartz, I tip my cap to you. Myles Garrett, who has more sacks than the entire San Francisco 49ers organization right now, I tip my cap to you. They just have dudes on all three levels flying. And Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy, it was not flashy. It was not sexy. It was not particularly noteworthy outside of the fact that I thought Kyle had plays dialed up in this game to exploit some of the tendencies and maybe just straight up tells of the Cleveland defense. And I thought that the 49ers offense as a whole was just really professional and really efficient. And Brock throwing it away more than I've ever seen Brock throw it away was the right kind of quarterbacking for this game, because when you play the Cleveland Browns, you just get the hell up out of the way and let the Cleveland Browns do what they do best, which is lose football games. The 49ers were able to do that in this one. Some great contributions from special teams. The defense came up as well as the defense could. I still got some questions about them stopping the run, but they were at least schematically and tactically sound in telling Shadur Sanders, feel free, beat us over the top. We dare you. He didn't, because he can't. And maybe at some point he will, but probably not. Their receivers are just abysmal. And I just thought that was an efficient, again, professional game plan from the San Francisco 49ers. And that following sort of the same thing against the Panthers, that sort of following the same thing against the Cardinals. The Niners got a fourth place schedule for a reason. This is the reason that you and so many others were very bullish on the Niners coming in. I tempered that enthusiasm a little bit. I was wrong. You were right. This schedule, because they have been professional and taking care of business against the teams that they absolutely should beat, is going to produce at least 10 wins, if not 11, 12, and if we're getting really crazy, 13, which is absolutely on the table. The Niners are going to the playoffs on the back of taking care of business. What that means for them in the playoffs, I don't really know, but I like where they're at going into this bye week. I like where their offense can get to. I like what their defense can be. I love where their special teams are at. And in an NFC that's wide open, this team feels dangerous for the first time all year, Larry. They feel dangerous to me in a good way.
There's a lot to chew on there. A lot of good stuff there. My takeaway was, and it's not like, oh, it just discovered this, but it's starting to kind of clarify itself as the season goes on. I think this is far and away the best coaching staff that this regime has had. They've had better rosters. They've had better defensive lines. Had better this, better that. But this is the best coaching staff that this regime has ever had. This is the best version of Kyle. Why? Because Kyle's talented and he's hungry. He's tasted it. He's gotten close and he hasn't gotten it done. So he's driven and hungry. And then you've got, across the board, Robert Saleh, I think, is a better version of Robert Saleh than he was.
Unquestionably, yes.
Because of New York, because of Gus Bradley now with him. I think Robert even would say, man, having Bradley there is such a huge thing. And then having Kubiak, who I think is a future NFL head coach, who's a really good offensive play caller. Then having a staff that has guys like Johnny Holland and Bobby Turner and Chris Kasarik, some Daniel Bullock, some really good good coaches and good position coaches. But then Brant Boyer, and he has changed their culture. They've made the investment of players, of capital, of focus into special teams. They didn't give it lip service. They actually gave it real, we're not good on special teams and we are effing tired of it. Period.
Yes.
I mean, that was the message that I got from Lynch and from the Niners and how they felt about special teams. We know we're ass on special teams and we are effing tired of it, and it's going to end, and we're going to do everything we can to end it. And they brought in a coordinator they like, and then they brought in players they liked, and they made the Saran Neal investments and those kinds of players in free agency, and they focused on it. They devoted time to it, and here we are. They got a kicker. They've got a return guy. They've got coverage units. They're getting better. They're winning games. So I think this is the best coaching staff, top to bottom, that we've seen. And that I love that. And that to me is at the first thing that I noticed. Second thing, though, close second, is Brock Purdy, I thought, played one of his best games. Now, I asked Shanahan about it today, and he kind of said no. He didn't think it was one of his best games, but then I think maybe it was in the way I phrased it. I said, was this one of his finest games as a Niner? And I understand why people would say no, right? 53% completion percentage,
of course,
a yards per attempt that's nothing close to many, many games where he drives the ball down the field and it's more of a beautiful type thing. But I just thought, there's one thing I was looking for in this game. There's three things that I'm worried about with the toe. His arm strength, his accuracy, and his escapability. And on that second play, we got Isaiah McGuire got penetration, and there was Brock. He's about to get tackled, and he showed that escapability. He spurted away from him, got to it for him. That's Brock Purdy. But to me, that kind of answered that question. He's got the escapability. How long? I don't know how long it lasts, but he's got it right now. But then, to me, the combination of the ball placement, most importantly, the decision-making. You mentioned the 7 throwaways.
Yeah.
I talked about it with you and others. Brock Purdy is a Brett Favre. He needs to be Mike Holmgren. Mike Holmgren was the perfect coach for Brett Favre because Mike Holmgren gave a guy like a wild horse some structure. Right. And even though Brock Purdy doesn't look like a wild horse, he kind of plays like a wild horse, and he needs to dial it down, not take chances, take better care of the ball. But he's so damn competitive and wants to win that his competitiveness will drive him to better decision-making. And I think when you consider the opponent, that's the number 2 pass defense in the league, the conditions, we're talking about 30-degree weather and winds, and his decision-making, his ball placement, the way he took care of the football, some of the plays he made, I thought it was true. And when you factor in there's Myles Garrett, who's on an all-time heater, and you've got a very good Browns defense, and you're on the road, and they've got two really good corners. That Campbell kid is big and rangy, and Ward is one of the best. So, I mean, you got the wide receivers it was never going to be a big wide receiver day just because of those corners and that pass rush.
And that wind.
Somehow, Brock Purdy, I think he's playing, I think he can play at a really, really high level. And to me, that gives the Niners the chance that they have because of Brock Purdy.
Yes, I'm with you on that. It reminded me in a lot of ways of that Thursday night football game they played against Seattle last year, where Brock it was up and down there for a stretch. It might have been, it was last year. And it was when the season still had some teeth to it. And they just kind of went under center. They kind of got back to basics. And this is something you and I talked about. I know a lot of other people talked about it when Mac was quarterback, and that there is a lot that Brock provides that Mac cannot. But Brock can take some notes here from Mac in terms of just managing the game. And that looked, and you can't hold it against the guy for managing the game. That needs to be the baseline. And then the cool parts are, hey, he's not just managing the game, but he's also making plays. When we see him throw 3 interceptions in the first half, and given those, maybe one of those you can chalk up as no big deal, great play by a great player, but the other 2 are mistakes. A jump pass, a pass that kind of floats. When you see that on Monday Night Football, you have to temper it. You have to temper it a little bit. You have to pull it back, and we can build back up to swashbuckling. But you have to be Kirk Cousins before you can be Patrick Mahomes, at least in this offense with Kyle Shanahan as your coordinator. I mean, and you can view this pejoratively or positively, whatever. I saw Brock just on a lot of first reads in that game. And against the Cleveland Browns, when Myles Garrett's come to take your head off, and by the way, it's not as if the rest of the defensive line are scrubs. That is an unbelievable unit. I just cannot say enough positive things about the Browns defense. You don't really get a chance to get to your second and third read all that often, just by nature of time. But it did seem like he was first read, get the hell out of there, get the ball away, live to the next down. And as I said earlier, just don't do dumb stuff, because the Browns are going to fulfill that quota for the game all on their own, whether it be on special teams or on offense. And they more than fulfilled the mandate there. I love the way that Brock actually threw the ball yesterday. It's not just the throwaways. I thought he really drove the ball, because that's the hardest kind of game to drive the ball in, where anything that has any air, any touch at all is going to start fluttering away like a grocery bag in the wind. I mean, and we saw that with the throw to Farrell. He's wide open. Brock tries to put a little air under it, get it over the line. Totally normal play. That's the way you have to do it. You're getting it over coverage. And that ball just went boom, right up and away. We saw it with Sanders' early deep ball, where that was an open play. That was the right read for Sanders to throw it deep, and he didn't get within 5, maybe even 10 yards of his receiver, because the ball just decided to go right and down. And it's, anyone who's ever played golf knows, especially here in the Bay Area, if you're playing anywhere near the coast, there are just times when you need to figure out how to hit punch shots all day, every day. And that's a really hard shot to hit. That requires a lot of that's a physical shot. You can't just finesse your way through a golf course hitting punch shots all day if you're trying to get some distance on it. And Brock was driving it, not frequently, but frequently enough that it's impossible not to notice, in my opinion. He was driving it 15, 20 yards down the field on ropes. And that tells me that at least for one night or one day, that the toe was healthy. On top of the escapability stuff, some of which was just downright Houdini-like, he looked really good. I agree with you. Finest, one of his best. I thought he was in control in that game. And when you have a quarterback and you're heading towards the playoffs, that's the thing that you're really looking for. You're looking for someone who's in control. We all know that Jordan Love and Sam Darnold have arm talent for days and can win you games with 5 touchdown passes and 400 yards. But do they feel like they're in control of their offenses? Do they feel like they are dictating the terms of engagement against any defense? Not particularly. And that's why people are having such a hard time betting on the Packers, betting on the Seahawks. Brock Purdy is in control of this offense. And so long as that remains the case, the Niners are not just plucky, but they might. This is a weird thing coming out of a game against the Browns. But my overarching thought was, this team might not just be a squad that's chasing. because it's felt like even though they've been in a playoff position all but 1 week this season, it feels like they're constantly chasing, which is just the nature of not knowing who the hell the team is going to be every given Sunday, given all these injuries. This might be the first time where the Bears are now the 1 seed and the division is sort of back in play with Carolina beating the Rams. And I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. I don't want to build it up into something more than it is. But the level of control and the great coaching, which I sign off on every single thing you said on that one, with a lot of players that should be coming back into the fold here after the bye. There are limitations on this team without a doubt, but show me a team without limitations. And frankly, I feel like the Niners might be a team that should be hunted as opposed to being viewed as, the hunter at this point, that they should be viewed as a gold standard in the conference, which is wide open, as opposed to a team that's just trying to find their way in. It did feel like there was a step change in the kind of performance that they put on the field yesterday, and they'll have to back it up now. They'll have to back it up against the Titans. They'll have to do the exact same thing they've done for at least the last 2 weeks against Tennessee coming out of this bye. But if they can do that, now you get the Colts, who are limping. Their quarterback's got a broken leg, is still playing. Their offensive line has gotten exposed now over the last couple weeks.
DeForest Buckner's on IR.
Yep. You get the Bears, who, listen, they're the 1 seed. I can't take anything away from them, but the definition of paper tiger might as well just have the Chicago Bears 2025 season right there underneath it. And then I don't know what Week 18 with the Seahawks is going to mean. It can mean everything. It can be nothing. But these are 3 playoff teams down the stretch. And I think that the Niners might be favored in all 3 of those games. That sounds to me like a team to beat, not a team that's trying to punch their way up. Just me.
Yeah. No, you said a lot of good stuff there. One, I think Brock Purdy's the second best quarterback in the conference. I mean,
easy to make that argument. Yeah.
Right. I mean, among the playoff teams, I mean, if you want to make an argument for Jaden Daniels or something like that.
No. If we're talking about teams that matter, yes. I think that's I
mean, look at what you got. I mean, you got the Bears have Caleb, and the Eagles have Hurts. Hurts is absolutely the opposite of Purdy. Hurts has no nerve at all to throw the ball down the field. No nerve at all. He's got low interception totals because he doesn't challenge down the field.
He's Aaron Rodgersing it.
Yeah, and he never throws it in the middle of the field. He's always on the sideline. So so you got Hurts, who's kind of, I don't know what you'd say about him. And then Baker looks really good on any given day, especially with a full arsenal of weapons, but he has never gone to a Super Bowl. Right. And you got Darnold and Love and Goff and Prescott. And you see what I'm saying? It's like Brock Purdy suddenly looks like the outside of Stafford, he's like the guy. And I'll tell you this, I had a guy that I used to work with in the Canadian League who really knew football well. This guy was a personnel department guy for like 25 years. And he said, in the playoffs, there are exceptions, but to almost as a rule, the better quarterback always wins.
Yeah.
And, we saw the better quarterback not win in the Super Bowl last year, right? We're not thinking that Hurts is better than Mahomes. We're just not. But that was an overwhelming team win by the Eagles. It was like an avalanche against Kansas City in that game.
And why was Kansas City in that game, right? Like Kansas City they were pretty fake throughout the entire, I know they won a lot of games, but you watch them and it was all 1-score wins, and it's kind of all coming back on them in reverse right now. But they were in that game because they had the better quarterback. When it got down to brass tacks, it came down, and I'm actually more of the Colin Cowherd belief. I agree with your friend, but I'm more of the Cowherd belief of it's a head coach and a quarterback league. And whoever has the best head coach and the best quarterback, and heaven help you if those two are not sort of on the same side of the ball, as we've also seen over the last 10 years or so. But, okay, outside of the Rams, who would you rather have? Whatever detriment Brock Purdy has, Kyle Shanahan should make up for it, at least as an offensive mind, if not as an overall head coach.
If you were gonna have a head coach quarterback draft, and right now, no teams have any head coaches or any quarterbacks, and there's a draft, but you have to take combos. Yeah. Right? Reed and Mahomes go one.
No, I take Stafford and McVay one. I take McVay over anybody.
But the best ones would be Stafford and McVay, Reed and Mahomes, Harbaugh and Lamar.
I don't know about that one right now. Okay. I really don't. Not the way with Lamar's playing.
Kyle and Purdy would be up there for sure. I mean,
I'd take Kyle and Purdy over Allen and McDermott for sure. I'm not a McDermott believer. Look at how his defenses have performed, right? Like he's the defensive guy, and I suppose that they're holding on, but each year they just get a little bit worse and a little bit worse and a little bit worse.
Do I dare throw Vrabel and Drake May in there?
I don't think it's outrageous at all. They might be the 1 seed in the AFC, so you have to throw them in there. But
they get the best record in football. They're 11-2.
yeah, you can throw them in there. I mean, I would throw Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert in there too. And frankly, I think I would take those two over May and Vrabel today. That might sound stupid in 5 years. I think Vrabel's a hell of a head coach, and I think Drake May's awesome. But they, much like the 49ers, are taking advantage, and credit to them, much like with the Niners, of a fourth place schedule. It's hard to make the case that there's four head coach quarterback combos you'd rather have than the 49ers and Shanahan and Purdy right now. And frankly, I think that it's a real stretch to find that third to put over them. And listen, with the way, taking into effect age and things like that, you can make an argument, if we're trying to view the long term here, you can make the argument it's number one. Because I don't know how many more years Andy Reid has, and I don't think Andy Reid has done a particularly good job this year in terms of continuing to push the innovation button. It feels like some of his stuff is getting stale, and I would say the same for Spags, which is they're victims of their own success. Everyone's ripped them off, and now opposing sides know what to do against the things that they were doing, but they haven't upped the ante now. Again, if we are to just put it into a every man for himself thing, like I would take Sean McVay over anybody, but Matt Stafford, you have to have serious questions about his longevity. If you're starting a franchise and you need a 10-year window, Purdy and Shanahan is pretty damn good and has the track record that you can feel confident in taking them. Now, there's always going to be the upstarts, and you can see the upside with guys, but if we're taking guys who have done it before, who have played in the Super Bowl before, haven't won it, but played in the Super Bowl before, and guys who should have 10 more years together to get a couple more shots at this thing, that might be your first pick.
If you had to bet every dollar that you own on who wins more Super Bowls going forward, Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, or Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy, where are you going to put your money?
I mean, yeah, without a question, I'm putting my money on Shanahan and Purdy.
Which is really saying something, because Ben Johnson's the hottest coach in football right now, and Caleb was the first pick in the draft. And there's a lot of people that think that they're the next it combo, and if they're not it, maybe it's Vrabel and Drake May. Or maybe it's Bo Nix and Sean Payton.
Well, it sure as hell ain't that, but yes.
Well, they're 10-2.
No, I know.
Sean Payton's a hell of a coach, and he's got a ring.
Unquestionably. I will give it to Sean Payton. I will not give it up for Bo Nix.
But if I said to you, you can have one quarterback the next 5 to 10 years.
Mahomes.
And you're taking in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yes.
See, I don't know. I may go.
I mean, if we're removing, we're getting a little abstract here, but if we're removing everybody, Patrick Mahomes is 30.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me I get Patrick Mahomes from 30 to 35 or 37? Like, I'm taking him. Yeah. Right?
He should be great. He's still, but it's funny. I mean,
he's been running like he's 40 his entire life. It can't get much worse, right?
I mean, it kind of reminds me of, an old personnel guy said to me, "Hey, look, you always have to draft like your team's getting old, because your team is getting old, because guys get old so fast." And you look at football. There was a moment where I thought Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis were going to be together forever, and then like 3 years later, they were both out of the game. Now, granted, they're violent linebackers and hitters, but look at this year. The Chiefs with Mahomes and the Ravens with Lamar, they both may miss the playoffs. Now, the Ravens are the 4 seed right now. They're 6-6. They lead the division. But if they don't win their division, they're going to be out of the playoffs most likely, and Kansas City's going to be out of the playoffs if they don't win their division, and they're not going to win their division. I mean, it's so you could have. So I mean, those are guys who have done it. They've been on top of the football world, and yet they both may miss the playoffs. And then you look at Detroit in the NFC. The hottest team's Dallas, and they're not going to probably make the playoffs. And maybe the best team's Detroit, and Detroit's probably not going to make the playoffs. I mean, they might
probably
not make the playoffs.
We'll see. We'll see on that one. I mean, yes, you have to act with an urgency at all times, but let's give some credit to. it's a young man's game, unquestionably. At the same time, you need to have the scars. There's not a lot of teams that show up and go full Oklahoma City and just figure it out on the fly, right? Like that's an even younger man's game in basketball. I do appreciate some battle scars and understanding what it takes to win in January, because that's an entirely different beast than what it takes to win in September and October. And maybe that's why having you and I having watched a Kyle Shanahan team morph into their sort of second form a couple of times now, well, 5 times now. That's why I'm feeling more bullish. And I've been the number one cynic about this 49ers team. Maybe this is a reason to jump off the bandwagon because Dieter's buying in, but they feel like they know what they're about. Now, what they're about might not be good enough when it's all said and done. And certainly when you factor in all the injuries and sort of what their maximum is as opposed to what it could have been, that is very different. Maybe not on the offensive side, but certainly on the defensive side. And maybe that does get exploited by a team with just the right matchup at the right time come playoff time, or even just before that. But they're not asking big questions, I don't think, going into December. And I think there are a lot of other teams, in particular the teams that haven't been here before, are asking those questions. The Chicago Bears are asking questions right now about who they are and if they can do this. Right. And they're playing wonderful football.
Yeah.
But how are they to know? It's a first-time head coach and a quarterback who's never won this many games before, theoretically at any level. I don't remember USC and Oklahoma. Were they competing for national championships? I don't recall that. And so there's going to be a gut check to this, especially when we get into big boy football time. In December and January, you want to throw the ball all over the place and have some fun, like it's still 75 degrees and sunny outside. A good luck to you. You're going to be in a lot more games like the Niners were in Cleveland, where you have a defense that is keyed in to kill you. And that defense, I will talk for hours about that Cleveland defense. I was so impressed. But you got 30-mile-per-hour winds. It's a nasty day. The sun will not shine. And you have to figure out a way to win, which doesn't include let's chuck the ball 30 yards down the field, or let's run a couple of trick plays, and let's all be fast and loose and having fun out there and just play some backyard football. The Bears are going to find out pretty quickly that you're going to, and by the way, they might be well equipped to do this because no one leads the NFL, or they lead the NFL in yards before contact in the run game, and they had 2 backs go for over 100 yards against the Eagles on Friday. So maybe they are equipped for this. But even then, there's going to be moments where we have not been in this circumstance before. I don't know what this is like, and maybe they wilt. I don't know. Their defense certainly has the ability to wilt, whereas the 49ers all season long, they have just been getting their kneecaps taken out by sledgehammers. I mean, the emotional toll that this team has taken week in and week out, even as they continue to win games. How many games this year have we come on afterwards and said, doesn't really feel like they won, did it? It just feels like it's another loss.
They survived. Right. Yeah.
They have been surviving since week 3.
Right.
And legitimately at a certain point, I was thinking, well, at some point that's just it's going to be enough, and they're going to give up because it's just too damn hard. And yet they have not come even close to that. There has not been a moment at all where I felt like the hands have been taken off the rope. There's not been a moment at all that Kyle Shanahan feels like he's losing his team. I go back, ironically enough, to 2017. And I remember Kyle's first season, and they had lost 8 straight games. And I remember being in the locker room and talking to a bunch of guys, some of which who knew they were just there for 1 year to, come in, play some football, maybe get themselves a new contract with this team or another team. But they knew that they were lower than NFL caliber players. And then a bunch of young guys who had no idea what the NFL was about and were learning the hard way that this is the hardest league to win in. And I just remember the optimism from an 0-7 team and thinking, damn, this guy must be a pretty good coach if he's got all of these dudes continuing to buy in to his vision when there is no outside reason at all. Anyone from the outside would be looking at this and going, what? Just pack it in. He kept them building towards something. They then get the spark, all of these things. He is really, really good at keeping teams together. And now they've had to do that a lot over the years. And I can make the argument that 2024 was not his finest moment. But this year, unquestionably, he has kept this team together and kept this team bought in. And I think that teams that don't have the constitution, don't have the infrastructure, would have wilted well before this. And yet here's this team that might actually be rounding into form now without Nick Bosa, without Fred Warner, without Mykel Williams, without just go down the list on their third kicker. How many teams quit? And how many teams are we now talking about, hey, maybe they can win the Super Bowl in a wide open NFC with no one from the AFC to truly fear? He won't win Coach of the Year because Vrabel will, because Vrabel's very media savvy and people on the East Coast vote on these things and don't watch the 125 Fox game that's not the game of the week. I get it. And people will say, oh, they have so much talent, as if, it's still 2019 or 2024. 23, sorry. But what Kyle's doing in terms of being a head coach, and not just the offensive play caller, on which he's doing a great job as well, but just as a head coach, putting together the staff, as you alluded to, calling all the plays, putting the game plans together, bespoke game plans every week. They're not just running their stuff and seeing it works. They're attacking. And then to keep this team together amid just survival mode from week 3 on, I cannot say enough. And it's a giant insult to anyone who likes and loves football when people say that Kyle Shanahan isn't good at this, because if he's not good at this, who the fuck is?
Right. There's I know the difference because I've covered enough teams and enough sports to know the difference. There is a unique intensity around the 49ers this year. I don't know where it's borne out. I don't know if Jed has put, the feet to the fire for Shanahan and Lynch, or if, they're just taking they've been there and done it, and they're kind of taking the long range view. There's no doubt in their room. They lost Bosa, they lost Warner, but you don't get this feeling like, you know what, we're just here. No, it feels like they're building towards something. Now, before we get to our sleeper lineup, one thought that came up today in the Kyle presser, he says after the bye week, Tatum Bethune, Yatir Gross-Matos, and Sam Aquinu all could be ready to return. Bethune may need an extra week because it would be week 3 of his high ankle sprain, and they like to think of that as a 4 to 6 week deal. So he may be out another week. But Bethune, Yatir Gross-Matos, and Sam Aquinu are working their way back. The big name there is Gross-Matos, who, for whatever reason, he chose 2025 to finally fulfill this massive amounts of potential that has been talked about around him since he was at Happy Valley. I mean, people talked about the greatness of Yatir Gross-Matos, and it just, when he puts it all together, the arm length and the speed and the strength and the combo.
He's a specimen.
Yeah, he's a specimen, and this guy's going to do it, and watch this guy. And it just, hasn't gotten there. Well, this year, it arrived, and his talent's full bore. He's their best interior rusher. Do the Niners defensively? I mean, I know this offense with Purdy is going to be in good shape. I got a pretty good feeling that this special teams is not going to have bumps in the road. I think it's just going to be kind of a slow and steady improvement. So I think the special teams is covered. I think the offense is covered. I think Shanahan, Purdy, great combination. It's all about what level can this defense get to? And heck, I mean, they're doing some amazing things right now. I mean, holding the Browns down at home to 8 points, and shutting them out in the second half. I mean, Robert Saleh's defense is allowing fewer points than the Browns. I mean, that's amazing.
That's crazy to me. That's insane.
But it's true. It's actually true. And that was going into the game. That wasn't even in the game. That was not after the game. That was going into the game. Obviously, it's better now. How good can the 49er defense be if they get Bethune, Gross-Matos, and Aquinu back? Is it a defense that could potentially lead them through the NFC playoffs? What do you think?
The term that comes to mind is adequate. I think it can be adequate in that it will not win you games, but it might not lose you games either. I want to make sure that we don't overvalue the last 2 games from the 49ers defense, because they have looked really good and they're plucky and there's a lot of quality still on that field. But I still have some serious questions about their ability to stop the run. Curtis Robinson sure as hell ain't helping with that. But they have been able to play, and I think Malik Mustafa looks really, really good right now. And the last 3 weeks, he's really found his form again. Jair Brown is standing out as he's the guy. They're certainly not replacing him anytime soon. He got the job. I think it was week 6. He has slowly built himself and has played really well the last couple of games. They have been able to get away without getting challenged over the top for the last 2 games. And I wonder what happens when they finally run up against a team, be it Tennessee with Cam Ward, who can really sling that thing, though I don't really think much of their receiving core, be it the Colts and Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones. And I mean, Alec Pierce is a hell of a player. Certainly the Bears, who can really throw it down the field, and the Seahawks, who, for all of Sam Darnold's warts, he can still drop it in 50 yards down the field and into a perfect spot. I really do wonder about those safeties against the deep pass, because I have not seen them be effective against it. And even I wrote a column today about how much I admire this duo and how positive they've been over the last couple of games. But I put in the clear caveat: they have not been challenged over the top. The 2 times they have been challenged over the top, more than a couple times with Shador. The first time I think they got burned on. It was a bad throw. You can think back to the Teteroa McMillan touchdown. That was bad safety play, in my opinion, on a double move. You should have had a second guy there, and I believe that the scheme did show that he should have been there. That is my concern there, and that could be a real problem for this team. Stopping the run could be a real problem for this team. The fact that they don't get sacks is a real problem for this team. So they will not be good enough, even with these reinforcements. And Bethune coming back is absolutely huge. I think Sam O coming back in and giving a spell for Huff, giving a spell for Keion White, who's been fantastic, is great. Now you're replacing Bob Beal snaps with Sam Aquanu snaps. That's a real upgrade. I don't know what Yetur Gross-Matos is. Me and Hutch call him the Theory on our show. Because
don't forget Eric Kendricks probably added to the mix here.
What is Eric Kendricks? I mean, I'll be excited if I see Eric Kendricks play good football. He was a street free agent that got signed at the end of November. It's not as if other teams don't need linebackers. I'm not saying he can't be a helpful player.
So is Cleve Farrell, who might be
defensive ends a lot. Defensive ends a lot deeper of a position. I also don't like Cleve Farrell's getting the sacks. Cleve Farrell is just winning on effort, and a credit to him. Linebacker, if you're just getting by on effort, you're getting yourself a ticket out of town, because it's so much more than just that. You can keep a long NFL career on just record. Ask Cleve Farrell, or on just effort. Ask Cleve Farrell. So all this to say, I think that they can be like the 14th best defense in the NFL at their best. And if you have a top 3 offense, which will be necessary, and a special teams unit that is going to like steal a possession every game and be ruthlessly efficient in what they do and kind of be that difference, yeah, that's good enough. That's adequate enough to where if you get the right matchups, if you are peaking at the right time, if you play the right way, you can absolutely win 3 games in the NFC playoffs and get to a Super Bowl. There, all bets are off. I have no idea. But hell, it might. I do want to be clear about this. The Niners are not excluded from the 1 seed possibility here. I don't think they're going to get it. But that Week 18 game against the Seahawks might be for the 1 seed if a couple of things go the Niners' way. They're not in control of their own destiny in that regard, but they very well could be playing for that come Week 18, a la 2019 again. So, yeah, adequate is enough. If you only need to win 2 games in the playoffs, albeit you won 3 really good games down the stretch to get yourself in that position, but if you only need to win 2 games at home in the playoffs, this defense is good enough to do that. It absolutely is.
Well, I don't know if the defense is good enough, but they if they can take the ball away. The one thing we've seen in the past 2 games is the Niners defense has allowed 17 points, 4 sacks, but have taken 3 turnovers. And if Brock Purdy can get into a mode like he was in yesterday, where he's just like, you know what, I'm not going to turn it over. Yeah. I'm not going to take chances with the ball. I'm going to be really, really safe with the football. I'm going to get rid of it. And if I've got to throw 7 passes into the stands, I would throw 7 passes into the stands. I think, him showing patience and not turning it over is their best ticket to win, because their defense is going to have to start selling out for turnovers.
Yeah.
And they have enough young guys on all 3 levels where they may get some turnovers. So they may be able to get some turnovers. And if they don't turn it over, I think that is their ticket to and through the NFC playoffs, is just ride the turnover margin, which the Niners were like 25th in turnover margin at like -5 like a couple weeks ago. And it's like, that's one of those things where, it doesn't really matter what you did all year. It matters what you do going forward. And if they can take care of the ball, take it away a little bit, now I think you've got enough.
It's a narrow band. I mean, to be clear, it's a narrow band, but the way that Jake and I on the Dieter and Hush show have been putting it is 4 touchdowns and a turnover is going to win you every football game from here on out. Because I just don't see this defense as the kind of defense. They're just too well coordinated, and they're too plucky to give up 4 or 5 touchdowns. Now, I might look like a complete ass in a couple weeks when they play the Bears, but like in the meantime, I don't see that. I think that there's enough there to prevent 5 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns from going on the board. So if the Niners can get you 4 touchdowns on offense, 28 points, because apparently extra points are free now, and a turnover, like they're going to win games. That's a high bar, to be clear, but it's doable for this team. And I'm with you. You got to sell out. You got to be more aggressive. This bend but don't break stuff, like that's cool if you're winning already, but it's not for this team, not this year. And along the lines of what you were saying with Purdy in terms of, controlling the ball and not turning it over, absolutely. Like, hold on to that. That's nothing new. Like these are the baseline rules of playing quarterback in the NFL. But he still has the ability to create something if something is needed to be created. And that's the difference between a Jimmy Garoppolo or a Mac Jones and then a Brock Purdy is, okay, Brock can, and sometimes he doesn't, but he absolutely can do all the game manager stuff to a T. He can do it as well as anybody that's played for Kyle Shanahan. And I put Matt Ryan, and he can do it as well as anybody. But what Brock can do is he can also steal you stuff that you don't deserve with his feet, with his ability to extend plays, with his ability to push the ball deep. And just the fact is he's been blessed by the football gods in some way that he gets lucky a lot. Having that amid a team that kind of needs a lot of things to break their way going down the stretch, I have made this comparison many times. It pisses 49ers fans off. That's fine. There's some real prime Russell Wilson energy to this guy.
No doubt.
And Russell Wilson played for 2 Super Bowls, and one of those, the defense wasn't all that good, frankly. So that is the formula here. You got to go full Seahawks football circa 2011 and see where the cards fall. Again, I'm not betting on the Niners to go to the Super Bowl or anything, but I do think that if you are someone who has the proclivity to place $1 or $2 down, that their current odds, which I couldn't tell you, are probably way longer than they should be when you consider all the other factors. And again, the fact that this Niners offense can give you the 4 touchdowns you need, so long as that defense can do enough to give you the 1 turnover you need. It's a hell of a formula. It's a narrow band, but it's doable. And that's not something I would have said a couple weeks ago.
We've talked about the Niners head coach. We've talked about the quarterback. We've talked about the defense. There's one other guy, and that's Christian McCaffrey. We'll get to that next.
Ooh.
First, let's hit sleeper. Let's hit our sleeper lineup. 49er football season all season long is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry, easy to remember, LARRY, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. And of course, thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of for the Krug Show. And if you're new to it, use promo code Larry. You'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100 coming back. All right, let's do this. Our sleeper lineup. All right, grow the screen here so I can check this out. Okay, so we've got.
Ooh.
What do we got? What game?
Is it Dallas, Detroit on
That's
Thursday?
Dallas, Detroit Thursday night. Do you want to
That's
go?
a hell of a game.
Do you want to go Dallas, Detroit? Let's go Dallas, Detroit Thursday night.
Yeah, you were kind of talking some Dak Prescott slander. I think that if there's one other quarterback in the NFC, save for Stafford, of course, that I feel is in real control right now, it might be Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know. Listen. You give me Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott, I'm taking Brock Purdy. But I think that Dak is having a really wonderful year.
Oh, I mean, I think the guy who's having a really wonderful year is Pickens.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's always been awesome.
Yeah, but he's awesomer in Dallas than he was in Pittsburgh. Let's look at Pickens because Pickens seems to be unstoppable right now. Yeah. Pickens and Gibbs, I think this is going to be a showdown. Who's the more unstoppable? I'll go anytime touchdown for George Pickens in this game.
I'll play with you. Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, let's go more on anytime touchdown. Let's go over to Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's move it to Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Gibbs is maybe one of the best. This is the guy that I really wanted the Niners to get out of Georgia. I just love this guy. I understand, you don't want to go with running backs, but you got to be able to identify the guys who are really special.
Right.
And this guy was really, really special. So we'll go anytime touchdown on Pickens, and then we'll go over to Jahmyr Gibbs.
Or will we?
Let's see. Can I click on this or no? No, it's gonna have. There we go. No. One more. Anytime touchdown. There we go. Okay, so now we got that one. Now let's go over to Jahmyr Gibbs, and let's see what Jahmyr Gibbs has going here. 72.5 over under on the rush yards. Anytime touchdown. 32.5 receiving yards. 16.5 longest rush.
I kind of like the receiving yards there.
I do too. 30. You think 33? Like more than 32.5? Yeah,
I do.
I like that one too. Let's go with the more than 32.5 receiving yards for Jahmyr Gibbs, and then let's take a look at Prescott. Let's see what Prescott's numbers look like. The Lions. I think the Lions are gonna snuff out the Cowboys' offense in this game. I think the Lions are the better team, and I think there's a class advantage here. And the Cowboys are hot, and they've been taking on these teams, like the Chiefs and some of these teams who are considered to be good teams. But I think the best teams actually reside in the NFC this year. And I think the Lions, even though the Lions might not even make the playoffs. I think the Lions are one of the best teams in pro football. And I think the same way they gave the Ravens a national TV, hey, guess what? They're going to give the Cowboys a national TV. Guess what? I like Detroit in this game. So
okay, I
think Prescott's going to have a rough one.
I'll ride with you.
So let's go with less than, or let's go with an interception.
Okay.
I think an interception is probably likely. Is there anybody else you like in that game? You want CeeDee Lamb? You want
how about a David Montgomery touchdown?
There he is. David Montgomery, anytime touchdown. Okay, we go with that.
He's a vulture, baby. Vultures do what vultures do.
How about I saw Isaac Tesla on there. And
yeah,
they really have been talking for weeks about they're getting more Tesla involved.
Yep.
And I think this is a Tesla moment right here.
Well, I don't think they're going to have Amon-Ra, and he stepped up. I mean, I don't know if it was, you can see the number right there, 2 for 2, 35 yards and a touchdown, but he did poach a lot. Poach is the wrong word. He was a touchdown machine in the preseason. I think early in the season, he might have had a touchdown or two. They really like him. They haven't, that offense was in such a weird spot with John Morton being the coordinator and now Dan Campbell taking over play calling duties. But he's a great blocker. They seem to really like the cut of his jib, if you will. Not sure if I'm in on touchdown because that's a bold one, but then that multiplier is pretty nice too. So if you want to play it, I'll play it.
Well, maybe we could play it, and then isn't there something where you can get like insurance where you just get like a 1 for
Larry? They're your sponsor, not mine. You can tell me.
I'm pretty sure. All right, let's go with this, and let's see if we can. Let's go with the one where we can get one wrong. Let's go with the one we can get one wrong.
Flex them.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Let's flex it. Yeah, so let's flex it so that if we get, we'll make a little money even if we'll make less money if we win it all, but if we miss one, we'll still make money.
Okay. I like those terms of making money.
There you go. And we should tell people big thanks to Sleeper. Remember, use code Larry for 100% deposit match up to $100. Links right in the description. Terms apply. Help support the show and gets you rolling on the #1 sports app, and it's a ton of fun as well. Thank you to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, we talked about how I like the Niners' chances because of Shanahan and their coaching staff. I like the Niners' chances because of Purdy. The big question, of course, is on defense, but we haven't talked at all about the guy who we probably should be talking more about, and that's Christian McCaffrey, because Christian McCaffrey had 2 plays in this game that were so exciting to me, Dieter, and they were back to back.
Okay.
This was the third. There was a 3rd and 8 play from the 14. This is on the first drive. This is Sky Moore has the 66-yard punt.
Oh, this is the Texas route. Yeah.
3rd and 14. And Niners get the huge play there on the 16-yard line. But then even though it was 1st and 10 from the 16, they wound up in the 3rd and 8 2 plays later at the 14. And Purdy went to CMC underneath, and they've been doing this a lot. And what happened here was Grant Delpit blitzed, and so
6.
There was nobody there. I mean, nobody there. And it was one of the easiest pitch and catches for Purdy. I mean, it was right there in his field of vision inside the tackle box on the other side of the line of scrimmage. And the Niners have been doing this a lot with CMC, where they're running him through, because what he is he's just a total mismatch once he gets through the line of scrimmage. But the Niners offensive line is having a hard time getting him through the line of scrimmage. So instead of running him through the line of scrimmage and letting him take all those monster hits, they're now sliding him through the line of scrimmage and dumping it to him. And if you decide you want to blitz, he's got usually a ton of room to make a big play. And he was wide open. And he brought it down to the, inside the 5 or whatever it was.
Right, setting up that touchdown.
3rd and 8, and he goes underneath, and he goes all the way down to the 2. So it was like a 12-yard gain on 3rd and 8. So that play, it's like that is one of when you have a play designer like Shanahan, and you've got a quarterback like Purdy, and then you've got who can throw dump offs and accurately and can understand all the all the different
good lead
ways.
Too. He led him on the pass, which gave him the ability to get.
And then you've got a weapon underneath like CMC, and he's absolutely in his prime, and he's healthy, and he is just you're in that room. He's got a huge boulder on his shoulder.
Yeah, he's pissed. He's pissed he missed last year.
He's pissed, and he knows that this is he's all about the Super Bowl. I mean, he's an incredible competitor. So you got this he reminds me a little bit of the competitor in him, reminds me of Emmitt Smith.
Interesting.
Emmitt was just the greatest competitor. And so is McCaffrey. And the combination of Purdy's a great competitor and McCaffrey's a great competitor. So that play where you can run him into the flat or through the line of scrimmage and dump it to him, it's just I think an incredibly difficult to stop element in the Niner offense. And then the next play was 3rd and goal from the 1. And now they've got to punch it in. And they handed it to CMC, and he absolutely hit it in there. There was no hole there. No hole.
Not a bit.
And he hit it up in there so damn hard. And it was like, I am not going to be denied. And he barely got in. I bet you he only got in by half yard or something like that, or it wasn't even a full yard. I mean, he was running into a wall, but it was a big boy touchdown run on the goal line. And it was just those plays back to back, that this guy can be both the guy who's just going to run through a wall if he needs to because he's so determined, and also this electric receiving underneath badass. He gives them I mean, people have described him as the cheat code and this and that. He just
Yeah.
gives them a weapon that hardly anybody else has. And if you like the Niners to win the Super Bowl, and I think I do think they got a shot.
Yeah.
He's a big part of that. He's a big part of that shot because he is an unbelievable player who is having a terrific year.
Yeah, it's incredible. You think about the other great players on offense in the league right now, and how between who's going to win Offensive Player of the Year in your estimation? Is it going to be Jonathan Taylor or Jackson Smith and Jigba? And here's a guy who's going to go and probably, in all likelihood, be the first guy in the history of the NFL to have a second 1,000 season. Right? Roger Craig, him, like unbelievable stuff. Marshall Falk, of course. I don't know. Did LaDainian Tomlinson do it? Forgive me. I did. Yeah.
The only reason I know that is because I was doing a lot of research on Roger Craig for the Hall of Fame, and I was looking at those numbers.
Well, and I know they keep showing it on the Fox graphic. I think it's 3 guys, and he'd be the first guy to do it twice. That is not going to make a dent in the Offensive Player of the Year category because it's almost been like the guy who leads baseball in innings also, but it's a great strikeout pitcher. Well, how much of this is efficiency and how much of this is volume? I don't care. Like, you can have that argument all you want with the post awards and stuff. Here's what I know. The Niners are at their best when McCaffrey's at their best. And if McCaffrey is anything less than his best, the 49ers offense looks like a shell of itself. And this is, you think about, they have George Kittle, they have Trent Williams, they have, I still think Pearsall is just really whipping it on out there. They've had receivers that no one expected to have good games break through. But it is Christian McCaffrey first, second, and third. It is not specifically to the level of Deebo Samuel 2022, where it was Deebo or nothing. But it is right on the doorstep of that. And for times this season, it has felt like that. And he has produced. And I think a couple weeks ago, whether it was here on my show or on KMBR, I kind of got on my soapbox a little bit. Shocking, I know, in that people are, like, how can you keep running him? You're going to run him into the ground, this and that. He'll ask out. This guy missed an entire season of football. And if there's anyone physically equipped to handle a crazy high workload, I mean, it's Christian McCaffrey. Like, you cannot hold him back because of the theoretical when he is so necessary to the here and now, and he wants it. He wants the ball on every play. This is like telling Steph Curry, hey, maybe we take a few less shots so you can get some later on in the season. Like, I understand it is logically sound to say, hey, let's not worry so much about these touches. Let's be prudent about how often we get this guy the ball. You don't want to run this guy. I get it. That's all very prudent and sharp. But football is still an emotional sport and a physical sport. And this guy wants it. And Kyle Shanahan is not going to be the one. There will be other coaches that might be strong enough. Kyle Shanahan does not have the internal fortitude to tell no to Christian McCaffrey when Christian McCaffrey says, give me the ball. So for as long as this goes, enjoy it, because there's no reason that it can't just keep going all the way to the Super Bowl. I mean, it could also end tomorrow. I don't know, but enjoy the hell out of it, because this is a truly special player who just is doing super special things on a week in, week out basis. And anyone who's not watching the games doesn't quite get it. Like that. I know that's no one watching here, but I am so beside myself. I don't consume much national media. I don't have time. But in the research for this Browns game, you do pick up, some. You Google Shadur Sanders once or twice, and you see some things that just do not line up with reality from ESPN and other places, because it's some sort of culture war that apparently I missed out on the memo on. And Shadur Sanders is apparently this great quarterback. Meanwhile, I watch his game against the Raiders and I want to puke. And then you watch his game against the Niners and you want to puke. It's really bad quarterbacking. And if his name was John Smith, I'd be saying the same thing. Meanwhile, no one's talking about Christian McCaffrey in this way. And I'm over the moon with it. And people who don't watch it don't get it, because even though he did not have a statistically great game against the Browns, I thought he was immense. I thought he was just humongous. for that third down play you called, for that screen play that they got. I think it was in the fourth quarter, setting up the third touchdown with Burford on the pole block and him fighting through a tackle to get the first down. They are a really good red zone team, and they were a really good red zone team yesterday against the best red zone defense in the NFL, in my opinion. I don't think statistically they're there, but oh boy, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody tougher to go against. They went their first 4 trips, 3 touchdowns, and a end of half field goal. That will do.
They're really good on third down, and they're really good in the red zone, and a lot of it is him. A lot of it is him.
A lot of everything is him. And I don't want to know we've seen what it looks like without Brock Purdy and Mac Jones in there, and the train kept rolling on. What was the common denominator? 23. 85 was out, 1 was out, 15 had 5 broken ribs and was sort of in and out and emotionally in and emotionally out. You're getting Kendrick Bourne and a rookie 7th round left guard, and who knows if Kyle Juszczyk is playing this week or not, and just everything has gone to hell, but 23 is I'm taking this. I'm still the man. And they won more than they lost because 23 was in the backfield. Now you get, it's not the Avengers. It's probably more like the Thunderbolts together. I don't know enough about comic books. But now you don't have, you got a full squad. Shout out David Lee. And it's still CMC. And I just go back to when they made that trade. And absolutely, it was a bold move at the time. You're getting a guy whose entire rap in Carolina was he's always injured. And when he's not injured, he's awesome, but he's always injured. But he was so necessary when they made the trade for him because the league had figured out you can just play press man-to-man against Debo. Then bringing in McCaffrey. Now you can't do that anymore because you're giving Christian McCaffrey free reign. And it's still true to this day. You want to play man-to-man against the Niners? I know a lot of teams are trying to do it, and a lot of teams have kind of done it a little bit. Great. You're giving Christian McCaffrey a field day. And if you give Christian McCaffrey a field day, he's going to beat you. And even if you don't do it, Christian McCaffrey's still probably going to beat you. I'm going to start the drum beat right now. I mean, somebody, somewhere in the national media has to talk about this guy in the same tones that they talk about Shadur Sanders or the actual good players in this league. I don't hear his name come up anywhere. When I do hits across the country on radio, no one ever asks me about Christian McCaffrey. We're derelict in our duties. We didn't talk about him until 45 minutes into the show. This guy has been unbelievable. This is an offensive player of the year caliber season. And probably the statistics won't say that, but anyone who's watched it knows how important he's been to the biggest surprise team in the NFL that isn't the Patriots at this juncture. And I include the Bears in that. I think people were optimistic about the Bears. You tell me Mac Jones and not even the Thunderbolts are going out there for as many weeks and they're beating the Rams and they're going out, they're in playoff position the entire time. How's that not a surprise? At least I can believe it with Caleb and Ben Johnson. Those guys are good, and those guys haven't done it like that. That's not surprising. It's interesting and it's new, but it's not surprising. What the 49ers did without Brock Purdy and without some of their best players, that was surprising, and it's only possible because of 23.
I mean, he means so much, but that's the reason that when you're up multiple scores, I don't care what he says. You take his helmet away.
Probably.
If you got to steal his helmet, you steal his helmet. It's been done before.
Yeah.
You need that guy. As long as you have Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan, you got a shot, man. You got a shot, and it's real.
Yeah.
It's not make-believe.
No, that's true.
Let's do a couple more things here. There's one Coach Yak that I want to share the screen on. This was interesting today, and I just saw this late in the day. And basically, Coach Yak put this out. The 49ers worked out 5 guys today. And there's some interesting names on this list. And you were Mr. Draft Guru guy.
Okay. Well, now I wish I had my guide in front of me right now.
Well, here, you're going to know some of these names for sure.
Yeah.
So the Niners have the following players in for tryouts today.
Yeah, I like 2 of them.
Taylor Elgersma, Javon Baker,
Yeah.
Cole Burgess, Kobe Hudson, Tanner McLaughlin.
Yeah.
I really like a couple of these guys as well. Now, Javon Baker, it's interesting. We were watching Pats tonight. He was the Patriots' 4th round pick. And he was
I loved him.
Central Florida. He was really good.
I loved him. I don't Google Dieter Kurtenbach, Javon Baker, because I might have said some very stupid things in retrospect, but man, I was all in on
very
Javon
good
Baker.
player in college. Very good player. Now he doesn't run the great 40 time. He's not a sub 4.5 guy. He's a 4.54 guy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But he's an interesting name and was very, very productive in college. So that's an interesting one. But those weren't the two names that caught my eye. The two names that caught my eye were the tight end, Tanner McLaughlin, who's 6'5", 245 pounds, but he played tight end at Arizona. He's a really, really good receiving tight end.
Yeah. I remember.
I don't know what he is as a blocker and strength-wise, but as a receiver, talking about a big target with good hands. So I liked him.
He'd be a Tonjes replacement here.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he'd be. And then the other guy is the guy who's pictured here, Taylor.
The Canadian hope.
Yeah, I mean, this guy played 12-man Canadian football for Laurier.
Yeah.
But if you look at his numbers, he completed 74% of his passes his second to last year, and then like 70-something% as well the year prior to that. So he's got a couple good years. He's also 6'5", really, really athletic, and has a tremendous arm. I mean, we're talking about he's
70-yard cannon.
Yeah, this guy's got a cannon, and he moves well. He's a really good prospect. He's a good prospect. He was in camp with the Packers, which is why you're seeing him wearing the Packer uniform. He does need development. He's a developmental quarterback. But I'm telling you, man, this is the guy you want, because you're talking about a big guy with, I mean, this is, if I were the Niners, as fast as I could, I would trade Mac Jones for the best thing I could do and sign this guy. And then just go to camp next year with El Gurzma and
Rourke
and
probably Martinez.
Yeah, Martinez, and then Purdy. And then I think next year that would probably suffice. But those are the two guys I like. I like Tanner McLaughlin and Taylor El Gurzma. The receivers, I mean, one of those guys, I think it's Burgess, runs in the 4.4s and is also a good return guy. Baker was probably the best career in college. But
I loved Baker so much in college. I want them to sign Baker just so that I have to look. I have to look him in the eye. I have to watch him practice at some point so that I can understand why it didn't work out. Because
there's talent there.
Just to cop to it, I compared him to Justin Jefferson in the draft process. Okay. I mean, like, I was all in. I just thought he had this unbelievable wiggle. I thought that he needed to tighten up his routes, but it felt like it was right there, and that he just had this innate sense to separate. Oh, I really loved his tape. And listen, I actually have asked around on him and why. I know why it didn't work out, and the answer is knucklehead, and not knowing the plays. But they employ Kendrick Bourne, so come on down, Javon Baker. Like, apparently the Pats had a type there for a stretch. They don't have that type anymore. They got rid of all of those guys, unsurprisingly, when Vrabel showed up. So yeah, probably not anything that's going to be impactful. I will push back a little bit on the trade Mac Jones thing. If we've learned nothing, it's that you don't go into a season with a mystery backup quarterback. Now, there are worse. I would rather have the mystery than a backup quarterback who sucks like that. Yes, let's go with the mystery in that case. But you have a 6 foot tall quarterback who plays like he's Josh Allen. You're going to need to invest in making sure that you have a quality backup quarterback from here on out. And that means that you're going to have to find the next Mac Jones after this. And then you're going to have to find the next guy after that, because the Shanahan shine is real. It's worked for Sam Darnold. It's going to work for Mac Jones. I'm not sure that there's going to be a robust marketplace for Mac, but that might develop. I'm not keen to get rid of Mac for anything less than a second-round pick. If that shows up, we can have the conversation then. I don't think it will, but that's my guess. I would not go into a season with Taylor El Gurzma and Curtis Rourke and Adrian Martinez as the backup quarterbacks to Brock Purdy, because next year I'm trying to win a Super Bowl, and you might need one of those three guys to win you multiple games in a season, because it's the NFL in 2026. And backup quarterbacks are the second most important player on the team behind first string quarterbacks. So I would maintain Mac Jones for the second year of his contract unless someone makes me an offer I cannot refuse. In which case, let's roll with Taylor Elgersma at training camp and keep our fingers crossed. Because listen, you can ask the Vikings, who have a lot of Super Bowl, have a lot of playoff caliber players on their team, what it looks like when you don't have a good starter or a good backup, or when you get down to brass tacks. I mean, they decided, hey, Sam Darnold, you can go. We'll be fine with JJ McCarthy. That's not working out, and then they go, oh, it's okay. We'll play Carson Wentz. Oh, that didn't work out, and then this Brosmer kid, who I shouts to Hutch, he really liked him. That was bad. That didn't work out. So,
well, I mean, it's one game. I mean,
that's his Javon Baker, right? I think that's what that's going to be. Yeah,
it was a rough weekend then for Hutch.
It was a rough weekend for Hutch.
He looked horrible.
It was, and to be fair, Hutch talked me again. I'm throwing him under the bus here. It's totally unfair. We all like play, and he was what, a 7-6 round pick. Who gives a damn? But yeah, it was. I'm like, okay, I guess I can kind of see what you're seeing. Like, there are other guys I like more, but he was in on him. And then you hear all the talk out of Minnesota camp where like, he's our Brock Purdy. Brock ain't ever looked that shitty. Brock has looked shitty before. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I remember Christmas and the Ravens. I remember some shitty games. We just saw one on Monday. The Jacksonville game was shitty. Like, I've seen some shitty games from Brock Purdy without a question. Never did that. Never went full. I mean, this guy is replacing Carson Wentz and somehow out Carson Wentz with that first interception that he threw. I kind of feel bad for the kid, but I actually picked him up on a whim in fantasy. I use Sleeper. I didn't play him, but I picked him up on a whim just because, Jake talked him up, and I trust Jake's opinions more than anybody's. And, the Kevin O'Connell's so good. And maybe this does work out. Maybe I got a little something here for future years. He got -7 points in my league.
Wow.
-7. I mean, I would have been better off. I mean, I didn't start him, but you would have been better off not starting anyone than playing Max Brosmer. So, again, let's value backup quarterback here.
It's funny. This is a video. I'm going to show you a quick video on Taylor Elgersma from the Senior Bowl. This is actually a video on Pat Bryant, but Elgersma's the quarterback.
Who's playing well? Pat Bryant.
Pat Bryant, the former Illini receiver.
Yeah. He's breaking out for the Broncos.
Right. That's right. Broncos. So here is, I'll share the screen on this one. Let me see. Elgersma.
He's a hoss. He's huge.
Yeah, here he is. This is in the Senior Bowl. And he connects with Pat.
City, South Dakota, as we get a big
Pat Bryant. Let me just turn the volume down so we don't have to listen to this announcer. But
you don't like an Andrew Siciliano on NFL Network?
I just heard him today on the radio. Here we go. Here's Elgersma. This is a pretty nice little ball right here.
It is a nice ball.
I mean, that's in stride to a receiver he doesn't have any reps with.
I actually watched some of the Packers. I love preseason football. I'm a deep sicko, and I kind of liked what I saw. I'm surprised that they're not a team that keeps 3 quarterbacks around. I'm surprised he's floating. I'm surprised. The Packers use their practice squad pretty aggressively, but I would have thought that he would have been somebody that they would have kept around. I mean, it didn't surprise me at all that they picked him up. I'm starting to question a couple things that are going on with the Packers. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. They still might be the team to beat in the NFC, given everything, but like, I don't like, some of their roster moves have been pretty questionable as of late.
Well, we're going to find out about the Packers. I mean, I was looking at the Bears schedule. The Bears play the Packers twice in the next 2 weeks. The Bears play the Packers this week in Green Bay. Then they get the Browns. Then they play the Packers at Lambeau. At Lambeau. No, they're at Lambeau. Then they play the Packers at Soldier. So it's Lambeau, then Soldier, but 2 times in the next 3 weeks. So, you know what? I'm not sure. And I was going to ask you, that was the other question I was going to ask you is, who do you think, or do you believe in both the Patriots and the Bears? Do you have a higher belief in one over the other? Chicago's 9-3 and is playing incredible football. They've won 9 of 10. New England has now won 10 in a row.
Yeah.
New England was 1-2, and they've won 10 in a row since. So
yeah,
who do you think's more legitimate, the Bears or the Patriots?
Man, it's the Patriots. It's the Patriots. They at least have
what a year for the Patriots.
Positive units. I mean, and Drake May is playing at an MVP level, which is not something you can say about Caleb Williams. I mean, it's going to be really interesting down the stretch because I do believe in the Bears run game a lot, and that really matters more and more as the season progresses. I think Kyle Monangai, who, let's credit Jake on this one. He was all over Kyle Monangai between the two of us.
I was too, man. I love Kyle Monangai.
I just give me Rutgers running backs most years, but
the guy was incredible. I mean, if you watch the film on him at Rutgers, why anybody wouldn't have? You could have taken him at any point on day 3, and it would have been fine.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what he's done. Let's just remove Monangai from it. Just Swift. Swift was so bad behind the best offensive line in football with the Eagles that they said they're like, we can't live like this anymore. We have to go get Saquon Barkley. We need to just get the ultimate counter to Swift, DeAndre Swift, just absolutely sucking ridiculously. And then he goes to the Bears and he sucks again. And for some reason, Ben Johnson kept him. And now he looks great again. And it took a minute. It took a minute this season, don't get me wrong, but like he looks awesome. That team can really run the ball. They got Drew Dahlman as their center. They reworked the interior of their offensive line. They can move the ball, and they're, as you just said, they're going to be playing Soldier Field and Lambeau in December. You know who I'm going to bet on? The team that could run the damn ball under those circumstances. And so I'm not totally out on the Bears, though I really question their defense and its ability to stop anybody. Whereas the Patriots, at least I know they're well coached and buttoned up on both sides of the ball. And let's just go back to the original, sort of treatise that you threw out there. Like, who has the better quarterback? I'll take Drake May over Caleb Williams.
Drake May be the MVP of the league.
Hard to argue. We got a few more weeks left. I mean, and these are the defining weeks of an MVP race, to be sure. But man,
I told my nephew, who's a big Patriots fan, I told him this summer when I was in Connecticut, I'm like, dude, your boys had a great draft.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect them to be this good. I expected them to be good. I expected them to be a better bounce back team, but I was thinking, maybe 9-8, something like that, 9-8 and go to the playoffs and maybe be plucky and win a game. But now they're 11-2.
They don't feel like a wagon, though. They don't feel like a wagon, though. It has not gotten to that point. That's the new. Maybe I watch too much hockey. Like a wagon is just this unstoppable force of nature. It doesn't.
No.
Is there any team in football that feels that way?
No, I think, you know what? I think this is the first year that there's 7 teams that are in the NFC playoffs, 7 teams in the AFC playoffs. I think any of the 7 teams in either conference can win it all. The 7 seed in the AFC is Buffalo.
Yeah.
They're 8-4.
They might be the favorites. If they go into the playoffs, they might be the favorites to win the AFC as a 7 seed.
The Niners are the 7th seed, and they're 9-4, and they've got Super Bowl experience. So, and they both have really good young quarterbacks. So, I mean, who knows?
Okay, I'm gonna push back for a quick second because nobody from the AFC North is winning the Super Bowl. I mean, whether it's the Steelers or the Ravens, and we're going to find out here soon, both of them suck. I know that the Ravens get a lot of credit. They suck. And credit to their defense.
Sneak in because the Bengals that I saw the other night beat Lamar.
Yeah.
That Bengal team is scary. I would say if you said to me, what's a team that could upset things in the AFC?
Don't they have the worst defense in the history of football going into that game?
Oh, it's a bad defense. I mean, the Bengals are Joe Burrow's that good.
He's so good. He is very good.
I
even on one foot,
spectacular.
putting on a sneaker on the sidelines.
I mean, they're 4-8 right now. Let me see what their schedule looks like the rest of the way.
I don't love the idea that a 4-8 team can make the playoffs, but technically speaking, I think that they probably could. I think the AFC North winner might be 8-9.
You know what? If the game to watch this weekend is Cincinnati in Buffalo. If Cincinnati beats Buffalo,
It's on.
after that they get Ravens at home, at Dolphins,
Okay.
Cardinals at home,
Oh my God.
Browns at home. I'm telling you, if the Bengals beat the Bills Sunday,
yeah, it's on. It's on.
Watch out for the freaking Bengals.
Y'all thought Al Golden couldn't coach. He'll get that defense just good enough. If the 49ers, I mean, listen, I was saying the 49ers can be adequate. Certainly the Bengals would be something significantly less than that, but maybe they don't even need to be passable to, they can just get a D on the test, but it's better than an F. And with Joe Burrow, and they looked like a completely different team. God, that does not speak highly of the AFC North, though. And then also NFC South. Either of your champions, I respect 0%. I guess
Tampa.
I have to give a little respect to Tampa, but come on now.
Tampa doesn't seem like it's their year. All right. We're also brought to you by Habbas Law. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Visit them on the web at habbaslaw.com, HABBAS law.com. Right now, the one thing I love the most about having Habbas Law as a sponsor is that, you know what, they really do care about the community, and they're involved in so many of these great initiatives. The latest one is Loaves and Fishes. And you visit loavesfishes.org and you can make a donation. Thanks to Omar and Tarek and the Habbas Law team for being involved with Loaves and Fishes. They're a lifeline. They serve hot, dignified meals. No judgment, no barriers. There's a lot of people that don't have enough food this time of year, and God knows that's not Dieter or I. So we have enough food, and probably many of you do as well. So Loaves and Fishes takes care of the people that don't have enough food. And visit their website, loavesfishes.org. If you can make a donation, please do. If you can't, I totally understand. But Loaves and Fishes Family Kitchen was founded in 1980, and they serve Santa Clara and San Mateo counties, which are here in Northern California. They feed anyone experiencing hunger, anyone, homelessness or food insecurity. They help lots of families, children, seniors, veterans, students, disabled people, medically fragile people. So nearly 1 in 3 people in their service area face food insecurity. And they're just a really good program. So thank you to Omar and Tarek and all the people at Habbas Law. And once again, if you can help, please do. Loavesfishes.org. And thanks to Habbas Law for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Really love those guys. Let's hit some supers and then we'll bolt for the door.
Great.
We got this one, top of the Propa says, if Drew Aller, and that's the Penn State quarterback, isn't drafted till day 2 or 3, isn't he worth taking a flyer on? Sit him for a couple of years and see what he's got. Attributes are great. I've watched Drew Aller. He does not stand out to me in any way as anything really special. And I've tried to see it. And I've me, I'll take the time. I'll roll that film back and forth. And I've looked at him. He's got good stature. He's got good arm strength. There's no question about that.
Right.
Outside of that, I don't really see a special player. No. I just don't. I've tried to. I've looked at him and I thought,
yeah,
other people really like this guy. Maybe I should take a deeper look. But I actually think there's some decent quarterbacks in college the more I watch, but I just don't like him. I'll give you this. I don't like most of these guys. I mean, that's just kind of my mindset.
Nor should you. I mean, legitimately, most
I
of these
like
guys.
Mendoza, and I
like
think
Mendoza a lot.
Yeah, I like Mendoza, and I like Ty Simpson a little bit. I think there's some real interesting traits there.
Dante Moore.
I'm not a Dante Moore guy.
I think I'm in on Moore, but
I don't like Dante Moore. I just think that he's a product of that system, and I like some of the other players around him. I love the guard Pregnon, and I love the 75, and I love Isaiah World. I mean, I like and their defensive
end. Tight end.
Oh, no question. The tight end is one of the burners out there. Somebody said he's not strong enough. He's like 250 pounds. He's awesome.
You seen his arms?
The guy's awesome. He's one of the fastest tight ends I've seen. And not only that,
Who said that?
What? That he's not strong enough?
Yeah,
It's literally in ESPN today. Here, I'll read it to you. Here's the quote. They did an article about the draft, and when they got to this guy, they said he wasn't strong enough.
we're talking about 18 for Oregon.
Yeah. Who's
The guy
who's jacked? No, I laughed at it too. When I saw that, I was like, come on.
I mean, listen, I can appreciate that guys who are jacked don't necessarily play with great leverage and great strength, but like I've also watched this dude just lift guys out of the picture. Like he's like a slightly shorter David Njoku.
We should probably say his name. His name's Keion Sadiq.
Thank you.
And he's got 8 touchdowns.
He's awesome.
He's got 8 touchdowns.
He is a tight end who is unquestionably a first-round pick in my eyes.
I mean, I don't know if he's the best tight end I've seen. I kind of like Michael Trigg from Baylor, and I really like
Trigg too.
Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Trigg is going to have an interesting draft process. Let's just leave it at that. There's some stuff going on at Baylor, I heard.
I also like the Notre Dame tight end.
I haven't watched much Notre Dame this year, to be honest.
Notre Dame is good.
I know. I'm gonna watch them. They're gonna make the playoff, but
let me tell you,
I've watched the first 2 games. And
Eli Raridan.
Oh, we're all about the Elis this year.
Eli Raridan, yeah, he's 6'7", 250. And he just really looks the part. He's explosive athlete too. Yeah. So that guy reminds me of somebody who's got some big time talent. But I like Stowers and Trigg and Sadiq. But Sadiq is an awesome movement tight end. I don't know if he's going to be if he's George Kittle in the line of scrimmage, but I mean he's an awesome movement tight end. I mean that guy's
unquestionably
as
an H-back,
he's a seam buster.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
He's really fast.
Can I throw something at you about Aller and why I'm out? Because I'm with you.
Well,
every time
I don't think he's in the draft, is he? Or is he in the draft?
Yeah, I don't know. He can probably make more money in college. But
big kid, 6'5", 240.
Well, this is what I want to get at. He has 35 and a half inch arms, and that's like off-putting for me for a quarterback. Impossible to have a short motion with arms that might as well be on a left tackle. 35 and a half inch arms. I've never heard that with a quarterback before. That's like Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, those are long arms for sure.
And what was Brock Osweiler's issue besides also being a knucklehead who has a typo for a tattoo?
You know, a lot of times guys who have really long arms have a lot of snap on their ball, and they don't throw the most catchable ball.
Every time I watch Penn State, I never went like, oh, I get it. And you watch a lot of Penn State. Last year, they were putting up points in bunches. They were competing for a title. Like, I wanted to, if it was ever going to be evident, it was going to be during that stretch. And yet his draft stock kept sliding and sliding and sliding with people whose opinions I trust to the point where he didn't go in. So it's like, you know, the more they see this guy, the less people like him. That's not a great sign for me.
It's really a kind of a speculative group of a quarterback. I mean, Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, Dante Moore, you know, those are the top 3 guys, probably all going in the first round. Yeah. I kind of think Lenore Sellers is going to find his way into the first round as well. I mean,
I would take Sellers over everybody but Mendoza.
Nobody's got this kind of talent. I mean, Lenore Sellers is a rare thrower of the football.
Larry, can I tell you something?
He might be one of the greatest power arms I've ever seen.
And he's an unbelievable scrambler, and he's a really, really sharp kid.
And he's big. He's 6'3", 240. I mean,
here's the nightmare. I just want to put this all in the minds of 49ers fans right now. Maybe if we speak it, it will not come into existence. The Atlanta Falcons made one of the all-time boneheaded trades in the history of the NFL. And what they might have done,
Rams another pick.
Giving the Rams their first-round pick, also that they can get James Pierce. So they did that. It was dumb in the moment. It looks even stupider now as the Falcons are in all likelihood going to have a top 5 draft pick. And you look at the Rams and let's excuse what happened on Sunday if we can and acknowledge their defense is young and exceptionally talented and should probably only continue to ascend. And their offense is led by Sean McVay. And yes, they can always improve in certain spots, but really doesn't have any holes. Their big issue long-term for the Rams is how long will Matt Stafford play? And they don't have an heir apparent because who has an heir apparent in this day and age? So the Rams, above all else, can be patient. They probably got a year or two where they can actually sit a guy down and let him learn firsthand from Sean McVay how to play quarterback in the NFL. And about 3 weeks ago, I came to the conclusion that the Atlanta Falcons handed Lenora Sellers to Sean McVay. And if that doesn't strike fear into your heart right now as a 49ers fan, it will. That's a real problem. That's a real big fucking issue that the Atlanta did that. And by the way, I think in all likelihood, Chris Shula, the DC of the Rams, is going to get a head coaching job this offseason because he's really good. And so when the Falcons fire Raheem Morris, which should have happened last year, but will certainly happen at the end of this year because he's a terrible head coach, he'll probably resurface as the DC of the Rams. So in all, the Atlanta Falcons will have given the Rams their defensive coordinator for probably the next 10 years, if not longer, and their quarterback of the future in one trade. This is a nightmare scenario that is slowly coming to fruition, and it's a problem.
If they get Lenora Sellers, because Lenora Sellers definitely has a lot of ability. But he also has 13 touchdowns and 8 picks, and he's completing 60%.
If you've watched I've watched South Carolina football. Let me tell you, their issue coming into the season. You and I are both big Nick Harbor fans, but Nick Harbor does not know how to play the position, and he's unquestionably their best wide receiver. The second and third and fourth options are awful. They cannot run the football. Shane Beamer it's got to be kicking himself for not taking the life raft and going to Virginia Tech when they offered him the job. He said, no, I'm going to stick it out at South Carolina. They give the job to James Franklin. He just continues to lose. He'll get fired at the end of next year, if not earlier. It is, I'm telling you, Larry, the Rams are getting Lenora Sellers, and the Rams, that is just the worst possible thing that can happen in this rivalry, because Lenora Sellers is going to be awesome for them. Might not be for other teams, but he'll be awesome for them. And I just wanted to put that in the minds of everybody right now so that you can start getting real angry about it.
You know, I've got to do a lot more studying on these guys, but based on the way I'm looking at it right now, I think 4 quarterbacks going around 1. Mendoza goes first. Simpson goes in the top 10. Moore goes in the top half of the first round. Sellers winds up going in the top 20. That would be my guess, that there's 4 in the first round. Now, there are other highly rated quarterbacks, but I don't really like any of them. I'm not a John Mateer fan from Oklahoma.
No.
Really not a Garrett Nussmeier fan from LSU. I mean, I saw LSU Florida in Baton Rouge this year. Nussmeier is not the guy, and yet he was billed as the guy. No, he's not the guy.
Never made sense to me.
I don't like the SC kid, Jordan Malava.
I actually do like him a little bit. I think he's coming back, but like Jaden
Malava, I should say.
He's good. He's good. He's big. He's strong. He's accurate. I like him. I actually like him a lot. I'm going to obviously get more into it. But
what is his year? Is he a junior? What is he? Because he looks raw. He looks raw to me.
It's his first year starting.
The guy that I really do like is I like Carson Beck. Carson Beck, started at Georgia, transferred to Miami. He's completing 75% this year. He's got the frame. He's got a good arm.
Got 10 interceptions while completing 75% of his passes. That means that anytime there's not something obvious, he throws it to the other team, which, as someone who watches a lot of the U, let me tell you, this dude makes bad decisions.
I know he does thread the needle, but he does throw lasers. I also like the Cincinnati kid, Brandon Sorsby, a little bit.
He was good against BYU the other day.
And then Sam Levitt from Arizona State, I think staying in college. I think he'll transfer somewhere. He's probably going to be a big. He's probably going to make a big money in the transfer portal.
There's 2 names that you're about to mention that need to be higher on the list.
Well, I like Darian Mensah.
He's awesome.
From Duke,
I highly recommend everyone watch the ACC championship game, because he's about to become a superstar. If you watch that game, he's awesome. Mensa. He's so good.
Oh, he's really good. A lot of people like Klubnik from Clemson. I'm not a Klubnik guy. I'm not. The rest of the
acquired taste.
The rest of the quarterbacks, the only other guy that I really like, Arch obviously came with tons of hype, and he's
Arch would go 1. Arch would go 1 in this draft if he wants.
He's getting better as the year goes on, but I kind of like, even though I don't know if he's got enough arm, but the guy that I kind of like is Dylan Raiola from Nebraska. He's 6'3", he's 220. He completes over 72%. Yeah. His arm strength is just okay, but I've seen him throw a number of play well in the number of close games in the fourth quarter. I just feel like Raiola's got some juice to him.
27 class is going to be really, really good for quarterbacks. I think.
Yeah, that's 27. He's a 27 guy, Raiola.
Yeah. 26. A lot of great offensive tackles, a lot of great defensive linemen. Quarterbacks, I mean, I'm not in on Simpson, but yeah, the quarterbacks, hit or miss.
Do you have a favorite defensive lineman?
I mean, Bane.
But as far as tackles?
Defensive tackle?
Yeah, Cade McDonald or
I like Peter Woods out of Clemson.
He's good. I like Bear Alexander, the transfer who's at Oregon right now.
Yeah, I actually have a bit of a I hold back a little bit on Oregon defensive linemen. Who else? I do like Caleb Banks out of Florida a little bit. Not a great defensive tackle grass, but like I'll tell you who I loved last year, and I was actually kind of frustrated he got more money to stay in school. I thought David Bailey was going to be an absolute steal on day 2 for some team, the defensive end. He was at Stanford last year. He's at Texas Tech this year. He is awesome. David Bailey.
Yeah, I like him too.
Also, Missouri's got 2 first-round defensive ends.
I'm going to give you 2 guys that I love.
Okay.
2 guys that I love. And if I were the Niners, I'd try to get these guys.
Yeah.
Yakis from the Illini, Gabe Yakis, the defensive end. I think
yeah.
7. He's like 275 pounds.
Big guy.
11 sacks. I mean, he's tough. And the other guy I just really love, especially after watching him this weekend, he was amazing against the Wolverines on Saturday. Kenyatta Jackson Jr.
Yes, he had a big game, didn't he?
6'6", 265 pounds. That guy's really good. Really,
can
really
I throw
good.
something at you here?
And I always make to me, if you play well in that game, that means something. And if you play poorly in that game, that means something.
I think there are 4 first-round worthy linebackers in this class. Averill Reese, Sonny Styles, C.J. Allen, Anthony Hill. I think all of them are first-round worthy and arguably top 20 worthy. And they might not even be the best linebacker in this class when it's all said and done, because I still buy Harold Perkins stock. I still want all of it.
Oh, my God. I think it's a great year for linebackers. I mean, Arvell Reese may go number 1. Sonny Styles can really fly. I mean, like,
he's awesome.
When you're watching Sonny Styles, you'd swear he's like 6'2", like 220, and he's 6'4", like 240. You know, he's incredible. C.J. Allen is just another in a long list of Georgia badasses.
Love C.J. Allen.
He's a lock. He's got 80 tackles this year. He is
fantastic.
He's a magnet to the football. He's got 2 fumbles.
People love Hill. People love Hill.
Anthony Hill is one of the greatest athletes in the entire college football. He's an absolute lock linebacker. He's a big play guy. He forces fumbles. He sacks the quarterback. He intercepts passes.
I didn't even mention Torian York, who I think is really good too.
Oh, Torian York is short, but he's terrific. You didn't mention Deontay Lawson, who had the key fumble recovery
Alabama
in the Iron Bowl.
Awesome.
But he had knee surgery last year, but he's 240 pounds. He moves great. A lot of people love Jayshon Barham from Michigan. To me, he's a hell of a player. In this Suntarine Perkins from Ole Miss, the transfer, he's a good player. So the linebacker, there's a lot of good linebackers.
I mean, we could be talking about a linebacker going 1. I think that Caleb Downs, the safety, should go 1. He's the best player in this draft, in my opinion.
No, he won't, though.
He won't, but he in retrospect, it will look like he should have. It's fun draft.
He's tremendous. Caleb Downs is probably
the best player in college football.
Yeah, he's really, really good, but safeties just rarely wind up going that high. I'll tell you the other guy that I really love watching is the running back for UW, Jonah Coleman. He's got 14 touchdowns this year. He's 5'9", 225. And he's just one of those guys, you just can't knock him off his feet. Just one of those, just a little bowling ball.
I like Nick Singleton out of Penn State. He probably should have came out last year. He came back for, I guess more money. I still think he's really, really good.
Nick Singleton, great. I mean, you're talking about a big body guy who's also going to run for the stopwatch. I mean, he's probably going to be 4'3", isn't he? And he's like 220 pounds. I mean, he's
special talent.
He is freaky.
Yeah.
We got a couple more, and then we'll bowl.
Yeah, sorry. That was the all-time rabbit hole. Just get us talking about guys. Just naming some dudes.
Stefan. Yeah, that took 15 minutes. Stefan says best NFC matchup for the wild card round.
Tampa.
Gosh. Let me see what the matchups would be right now.
It's Tampa.
Oh, what's he asking? He's asking who the Niners.
Right, who would be the best matchup for the Niners in the wild card round?
I'll you know what? I think it's Philadelphia because I think the 49ers, I think Philadelphia right now you can run on them and they're having a problem with their running attack. So I like Philadelphia. I also think 49ers would be very, very awake for Philadelphia.
It arises something in them.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to be out of, if you're going to have to go on the road in the wild card round, though, you want to go to Tampa.
Yeah, I would think. Let me see how it would go right now. Right now, the Bears
now they play in Philly. Yeah,
and so the Niners would take on the Niners are the 7th seed, so the Niners would take the Rams. The
Rams are the 2 seed now?
Yeah, the Rams are the 2. So it would be Niners Rams.
That's the best matchup for me.
Green Bay
get on a plane easy.
Seattle at Tampa. I think Seattle would beat Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
I think Philly would beat Green Bay. And I think probably
the
Rams would beat the Niners. That would be my guess.
Probably. Yeah.
That's the one matchup I wouldn't want is Rams in the first round. I'd like to see somebody else play the Rams. Because I think you saw this weekend, the Rams don't take everybody as seriously as they should, and they're probably gettable. But man, there's something about Stafford and that surface and that D line against the Niner O-line. It just seems like if they played 10 times, the Niners would win maybe once.
Could there be I mean, I don't know what this would take, but could there be back-to-back weeks of Seahawks 49ers?
Yes. And it's happened before, by the way. I was at Raiders Chiefs in 1990.
There you go.
Todd Marinovich's first start at the LA Coliseum.
Nah, keep going. You're cooking now.
And the Raiders won the game over the Chiefs, and then they played the next week in the playoffs in Kansas City and lost.
There you go. There we go. That's how you get that rivalry back to full bore. That's what I'm looking for.
Stefan says sucks, but feels like the D-line got better without Mikkel. I definitely would say that's not the case, but if it may have gotten a little bit more aggressive as far as, maybe Mikkel, I think, is a really strong run defender and doesn't give you a lot, especially late in the down. He stops driving his feet. So that he's not a pass rusher extraordinaire right now. So maybe the guy they replaced him with is a better pass rusher, and maybe that shows up more. But I would push back on their better because this guy played a lot of good snaps, and he is very strong, long-armed, wins one-on-ones. Deep down, it's not real complicated. You got to win one-on-one, and they don't have that many guys that can win one-on-one. So I would probably say no.
Maybe they just played the Panthers and the Browns in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably it. We got this one. Member for Kevin Wood, member for 2 months. Is there a comparable team to the 49ers season that won a Super Bowl or went on a run? Maybe the 2011 Giants or the 2009 Cards. Also, if they made it to the Super Bowl, how is it possible the 49ers would wear all the is it that 49ers would wear the all-white unis?
How possible is it that they would wear the all-white unis?
I don't know about the uni part.
You're not allowed to wear alternative uniforms in the Super Bowl.
I don't think so. But the Niners did, though, in 94.
So 94, everyone was wearing alternate uniforms. Those were the standard uniforms for the year for the 75th anniversary.
Yeah, that's true. So there was no – so that was their alternate – that was not an alternate.
That was their primary uniform. Everyone had a throwback primary uniform that year.
Yeah, so I would imagine the 49ers will not be wearing the throwback whites or the throwback reds like they did in 94. As far as is there a team that's like the Niners? I mean, there's been a few teams. I mean, I would say the 90 New York Giants that had Jeff Hostetler. I mean, they were given up for dead. They lost their starting quarterback, Phil Simms. Nobody thought the Giants were going to win. but they had a really great coach and they had a really resourceful quarterback and a great running game, really strong defense, and they found a way to win the Super Bowl.
Nick Foles, Eagles.
Nick Foles, Eagles. I would say the Packers, the year they won with Rodgers, they had 20 plus 22 guys on season-ending IR. Maybe
that's a good one. That's a good one.
That stands out. But like you're talking,
first greatest show on turf Rams team with Kurt Warner. That was supposed to be Trent Green.
War of attrition. Yeah, I mean, is that what we're talking about? Are we talking about like kind of surprises? Because I don't view the Niners as that big of a surprise. They were one of the favorites at the beginning of the year, but it's kind of like the team that survived the war of attrition.
It never felt like they were a juggernaut. They just kept winning, kind of
New York
defying the odds.
New York Giants, the year that the New York Giants, when they beat Alex Smith, was that 2013? Then didn't they beat Brady with David Tyree making that crazy catch? That Giant team was not an epic team, but it was. They got hot at the end. They had a good D line. They had a really good offensive line, if you remember.
I don't think that the Niners particularly have either of those right now. So maybe not. Yeah, I get where you're going from, though. I don't know. I kind of shoot back to the COVID year Rams team that won the Super Bowl. It felt like that was. It just feels like this is that year where it was Bengals, Rams. Everything was weird. There was no real juggernaut team. That's kind of the same energy I'm getting 5 years later, frankly, where it's like, I don't know. The Bengals got in. They had like the worst offensive line in football. It was Burrow's like second or third year. And everyone's like, what? How the hell is either of these teams? Whatever. We'll watch it. And by the way, that team, the Rams, winning a Super Bowl in their home stadium. So maybe that's
there you go. Maybe that is a good comparison. Joseph Ehrenberg, any great wide receicer prospects we can get mid rounds?
Okay, we've already gone too deep on that. Done. I'm gonna pull out my notebook. I have one name. I wrote this down. I feel very good about this. This is going to be a deep round pick. He plays at BYU. His name is Parker Kingston, and I think he could be a really good returner and a slot guy. Parker Kingston.
Okay. I'll give you a name. And now, I mean, I mean, I'm a big fan of Jeremy Bernard. And I think he's a good second round pick. I also kind of like KC Concepcion and Chris Bell a little bit from Louisville. Bell's a big, thick guy, big 6'2", 220. Concepcion's fast. He's small. He's got 9 touchdowns this year. There's a bunch of
everything for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as, but we're talking about, you're talking mid-round.
Mid-round? How about Jacoby Lane out of USC?
Yeah, I was going to say Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame. You know, I don't think he's going to run great for the stopwatch, but he's 6'4", 220. I liked him at Virginia, and then he transferred. So
I mentioned one earlier. Nick Harbor did nothing to improve his draft stock, but the best athlete probably in the draft, 6'5", 235, will run a 4.3. I mean, I don't know. Can't play football that well, but maybe you can teach him. Maybe you can be the one to get him over the hump. Let's also throw out CJ Daniels, who early in the season had one of the great catches of the campaign. He's not the go-to guy because of Malachi Corley with Miami, that standout freshman. But CJ Daniels is one hell of a receiver and has made Carson Beck look a lot better than he actually is.
Yep, good names there for sure. Okay, are we at the last one here? I think we got the last one. Yeah, here it is. Michael Everett. He says, whoever scouts running backs for the Niners should be fired immediately.
I'm still waiting on Jordan James. That said,
who'd you rather have right now, Jordan James or Kyle Monange?
Man, that's just so tough, Larry. I just don't even know.
It's so tough.
I mean, Isaac Arendo is going to make a hell of a linebacker.
The pisser is that it was an incredible running back draft, and there was good running backs in every round, and it's proven to be the case.
Yep.
And they took an investment in a guy in the 5th round, and it's like,
didn't get it.
I don't know what the heck to say about him. I mean, it's like he missed like a month with like broken fingers. I mean, what running back misses a month with broken fingers? I don't know. There's a lot of people like, oh, he's perfect for the Niners system. I never liked him. Never liked him in the draft process. Never saw it in minicamp. I love the build. He's got exactly the build you want of a running back, right? He's short, squatty, thick. He looks powerful. But I have much more hope for Jordan Watkins than I have for Jordan James.
Yeah, I it was so funny. I do this every now and again. I told Hush this the other day. Like during the draft process, the notes that I had on Jordan James were like, yeah, he can kind of slither in there. Probably more of a scat back than anything else, but I don't like his hands. I don't like him as a receiver. And then the Niners are up there and they're saying, oh, we love him as a receiver. And we think that, he's got this great burst up the middle. And it's like, okay, so literally the exact opposite of what I saw, you saw. And then you get a crisis of confidence about you because you're like, I don't know, they're professionals. Maybe I'm just an asshole who doesn't know what I'm talking about. Or maybe they are sometimes. That's where I come from. So, trust your eyes. Trust your eyes, folks, unless you're the 49ers front office, in which case, stop doing that.
I'll tell you, is a pretty good running back is.
Are we doing this again?
No, but
Is this happening? I'll do it. I'm with you.
No, who's the Utah running back?
What number is he? What number is he?
Is it Indiana? Who's the
Indiana running back?
Yeah, the Indiana running back.
I know who you're talking about. Number 8.
I really like the Indiana running back.
I'll give you the name.
Or no. You know who I'm thinking of?
Hemby?
No, you know what? I'm confusing my red. It's the running back I really like is the guy from Nebraska. I thought it was the running back from Nebraska is a hell of a running back.
Emmett Johnson?
Emmett Johnson. Yes.
1,400 yards this year. Jesus Christ.
Jesus. This guy is really good.
Only 200 pounds, though, Lair.
Yeah, he's not very big, but, man, he's tough. He's averaging 5.8 a carry. He's got 12 touchdowns. Yeah.
Matt Rule can pick him. I'll give Matt a call about him, and we'll see what's what.
This guy is really good. I saw him a couple times. I'm like, you know what? Emmett Johnson's can play. All right, man. That's going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Sleeper. Thanks to our good friends at Habbas Law. Dieter, when do you appear next? When are we going to hear you or see you next?
I'll follow you tomorrow night.
You're on at 7 tomorrow night.
I'm on at 7.
All right. So check out Dieter tomorrow night at 7:00 on the radio. I'm back tomorrow. We're going to do a little stream with Raj, probably do a couple videos tomorrow. It's the bye week. In fact, we're going to look ahead to the draft later on the week with Ryan Fowler, and Matt Miller is going to stop by from ESPN. And we'll talk a little draft with Matt Miller. I'm not sure if that's going to be tomorrow or on Wednesday, but that's coming up later this week.
Ask him about Sadiq's strength.
I will. There's this Oregon tight end. He
looks pretty ripped, man.
Yeah, he looks pretty ripped. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Dieter. Thanks to all of you. Have a great night. Thanks for supporting the Krug Show. Join us in Corte Madera, December 7th, which is Sunday for the Krug Show meet and greet. We'll see you there. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful.